What's a guan? What's a guan? Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's hey, what's up? Okay, so we got a bunch of people in here already. Okay, what's a guan? What's a guan? Can everybody hear me fine? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Again, for those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's hey, what's up? Okay, so today's topic's interesting. Linda Evangelista, former supermodel, says the fat reduction procedure called Coolsculpting has left her disfigured. And when I looked at the pictures, I would agree with her. Sad story. She did this Coolsculpting, which for those of you who don't know is essentially freezing your fat. Freeze the fat, kill the fat, your liver clears it out, right? Clears it all out. So she did this procedure. It's been done millions of times. And unfortunately, she started noticing the area she did it on, instead of shrinking the fat bulges, they were getting bigger. They were expanding, right? Which is a problem. She did it for her chin, down in her thighs, in her bra area. In some of the pictures you can see, the bulge around the bra area. And instead of shrinking, they grew. And then they got tough, right? Hard, real hard. Then started getting numb. So yeah, she's launched a lawsuit against the company. Has Coolsculpting, $50 million lawsuit, quite a big lawsuit. So yeah, and this procedure is not cheap. Granted, she's most likely wealthy, but still, a couple of sessions is going to range from $2,000 to $4,000. Insurance doesn't cover it because it's cosmetic surgery, right? So, and it lessens the amount of fat by an estimated 10 to 25% in the targeted areas. Now, so what exactly happened to this lady? What's the risk of Coolsculpting? It's similar with a lot of these type of weight loss surgeries, right? But specifically, it's a mouthful: paradoxical adipose hyperplasia. PAH for short. Let's go with PAH, right? PAH. So instead of shrinking the fat expands, which is obviously not what you want. So the fat cells, instead of you destroying them, the fat cells are resisting and they actually get bigger, which is a problem, big problem. So what can you do? Pretty much all you can do is lipo after that, which kind of defeats the purpose of getting Coolsculpting, right? Because now you're going to pay more money, which also costs thousands of dollars to suck that fat out that you thought you were killing with your Coolsculpting. No good. So yeah, that's obviously pretty bad. And from what I can tell, there's lots of other lawsuits out there, right? Lots of other lawsuits out there. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anybody winning. I shouldn't say unfortunately. That's kind of incorrect. But so far, nobody has won that I could tell. You sue them, they fight. These kind of companies are pretty good at fighting these things. Lots of stuff in the fine print, the disclaimers, what have you. And yeah, I've seen people are either settling or dismissed. Actually, I didn't think I saw anything settling. They're more likely to be dismissed, or the people gave up and dropped them, or it's just some ongoing litigation. All right. So that's kind of what we have there. And I mean, there are clearly alternatives to Coolsculpting, right? Diet and exercise, right? Working out. There's some other things as well we can talk about. But yeah, the PAH thing, it's obviously pretty serious, right? It's a very serious thing. It's estimated it only happens to, I think, 0.0051% of the people. There was a study on this in JAMA. Let me double check. Yeah, 0.0051%. Though there's some disclaimers with this study, right? The doctors in there do have some conflicts of interest. So I'll read. Doctors Jalian and Anderson, not me, serve as investigators for clinical trials sponsored by the company over Coolsculpting. Doctors Avram and Anderson serve on the medical advisory board for the same company called Zeltiq Aesthetics. Dr. Anderson's employer, Massachusetts General Hospital, receives royalties for licensing intellectual property to Zeltiq. So lots of conflicts of interest going on there, right? But, the numbers were kind of similar from what I could find from any other study, but they didn't have disclosures on those, so who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So, I mean, if you do want to do Coolsculpting, there are some things you could do, just try it on one body part at a time. It's kind of like, you buy those products and they said apply to a little area, right? Just to make sure you don't ruin your clothing or your furniture. It would take a couple of months for you to make sure nothing went wrong, so to speak. So that could be, not the greatest as well. And minus that, it's just liposuction, pretty much. But, that's the problem when you do these cosmetic surgeries, right? You have surgical risks. I mean, you could die, you could have some kind of other problem going on. Yeah. And of course, somebody talked about in another show, it's all about lifestyle changes, because if you have these kinds of procedures, right, and you don't change your lifestyle, you're just going to get fat again. Except there's a chance it could be worse. Could be worse. Could be worse. The body might bring the fat back in some worse places, like your neck, your face, your back, or deeper inside around some internal organs. That also would not be good, right? So let's see what we got going in the chat so far. This is a great comment. Let me bring that up. Very good comment. Losing weight starts in the mind. Shout out to that. I agree. I agree. Very deep comment. Here's another good question here from Igwe's daughter. Never seen any drastic results with any fat freezing procedure. Is it worth the risk? Well, statistically, it is worth the risk. There's a very small chance from everything I could read. Like I said, even that 0.0051%. The issue is there are that's with the PAH. The bigger problem is not the risk of the surgery. It's what's going to happen after the surgery, right? Because if you're still living a bad lifestyle, then you're just going to get fat again. And you just drop a couple $1,000s and you're going to get fat again. Now, it can be similar to lipo in the sense that fat could come back in other areas, the untreated areas. Because the body is smart, right? The body doesn't know what you're doing to get rid of this fat, but the body knows it lost some fat, so to speak. So it will want to get it back. So if you go crazy on your bad eating habits or lack of exercise, the weight is going to come back, except it could come back in some worse areas. Could come back in some worse areas. And yes, I keep forgetting to say this, but yeah, everybody should hit the like button and the subscribe button if you've not already done so. And like I said, with the lawsuits, if something bad happened, there were several of these stories, some of them definitely sad. A guy essentially have like a baseball in his stomach now sticking out of there almost because he had a bad reaction. He tried to sue, but yeah, that was dismissed. And like I said, these things aren't cheap. It's about $1,000 per application. So it's definitely not cheap at all. But it has been used on over 8 million people worldwide. So I'd say it's pretty safe. I would say that. As to how effective it is, I remember I said earlier, 10 to 25% fat reduction in the targeted areas. So it's not magic, right? It's not magic. I mean, I tried something similarly myself. It wasn't Coolsculpting. Coolsculpting is the brand, right? You have these other form of cryolipolysis type devices. And I did notice some improvements on hard to reach areas at my back, like love handle type areas. But I remember the gentleman who owned the company telling me that, the typical person comes in there, he didn't think it was super helpful for them. The people that helped the most, he said, were people that already lost a lot of weight, who are already slim, lean, and they just wanted to get some little touch-up areas, so to speak. But if you have a ton of weight to lose, this stuff is, he didn't think it was, for sure he'll take your money, but he didn't think it was super effective, right? And then you run the risk of the whole loose skin. If you're pretty big and you suddenly lose a lot of fat, then you got the loose skin thing going on. So you're going to spend more money for like a tuck or something, a couple $1,000s more. So, yeah. And lawsuits are pretty common, right? There's a personal injury lawyer called Luisa Tarasova. She specializes in cosmetics procedure cases. And she says companies like this are notorious for aggressively and expertly defending themselves in court, right? These companies make billions, and litigation is just one of their expense line items, pretty much. Very experienced. They got multiple law firms working for them, and yeah. They know the more popular a product is, the more lawsuits are going to come their way. So, and there is a small chance that lipo won't actually solve your problem, which is what happened to the supermodel in this case, right? She did lipo, and you can see from the pictures that she still is messed up, basically. So while that rarely happens, the lipo not working, clearly it didn't work. Let's see here. This is a pretty good question. What is the length of time before someone can see considerable results from the procedure? So I guess I'm going to give you the answer they're going to give you. It depends, right? It depends on how many applications you're going to need, or otherwise, how fat are you? The more fatter you are, the more applications you're going to need, right? To see some considerable results, essentially. It's could take a while. Now, if you're not, then you're going to see results significantly quicker. I think it's standard starter package is like 4 applications. So you could see results relatively quickly. Again, depending on, your starting point, let's say. And again, the worse your starting point, if you don't change your lifestyle, you're just going to get fat again, right? I remember meeting a gentleman that did some kind of procedure, and he told me, yeah, a year or 2 later, he couldn't tell that he had done the procedure. So, yeah, because he hadn't changed. Yeah, this is another good point here. That this is this is the number one reason people do it. This good statement here by Igwe's daughter. It's due to the non-invasive nature. It's a lot safe. It's just safer than going under the knife, right? No anesthesia, risk of bacterial, getting an infection. The recovery time is quicker. An hour, you're done, right? There may be some soreness and stuff like that. But for all the people I know that have tried this kind of stuff, it didn't really feel much discomfort, let's say. So from that perspective, it is significantly quicker. And this is why products like that are really popular. That's the number one reason they're popular, whether it's Coolsculpting or EM Sculpt. There's a variety of these different modalities, let's say. So from that perspective, I agree. It's definitely better from that perspective. So yeah, it's definitely better than the knife. Definitely better than the knife. Does it hurt? Skincare do's and don'ts. No, in most cases, there's no pain. There may be some tenderness in the area, but yeah, negligible. I mean, when I did the equivalent procedure myself, I didn't feel anything. And in most cases, you don't feel anything. I actually called a couple places and asked them. And I know one or two people that have tried this kind of stuff and they didn't have any problems. So here's another good one from Craig. Walk 5 miles a day, a small tweak to your diet, and incorporate. Let me bring this up. This is a good one. Yeah, you're right. Small tweak to your diet and incorporate a little weight training can do wonders. Discipline is key. I agree. The last 3 words are the key part to all of that, right? Doesn't matter what diet. At the end of the day, almost everything works. Every diet, every form of exercise, as long as you do it long enough and you're disciplined, right? Are some better than others? Yes. But even the worst diet and the worst exercise program, if that person does it for a couple of years, they will look better. Guaranteed. Yeah, apparently she was still doing this. It's another good comment here. Apparently she was still doing work because that's why her lawsuit is 50 million, because she said, and reading it, I mean, you can, if you pay attention to pictures, clearly the bulge, it's like it doesn't match the rest of her body, right? It just looks so big. And it also came back in her chin. So her face has had some disfigurement as well. She talked about needing to wear a girdle, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely not good at all. Not good at all. Yes, actually, that's another good point. Fat freezing the weight, but yes, that's exactly what it is. So spot reduction, you can't do spot reduction from working out. You don't know how much crunches you do. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So, you can do a gazillion crunches, but if you're, yeah, it's not gonna, you need to have your body fat low to show your abs, quote unquote. They're muscles just like any other muscle. So yeah, this is why, as like I was saying earlier, that guy that had that other company was explaining to me, the people this stuff helps the most are people just trying to target a spot. So maybe you're fit, you're in shape, and you got a little bulge by the bra, which is where that lady, one of the spots she tried to touch up, or a little love handle type thing, the little touch up there. Then yeah, then it can be quite effective. I mean, I noticed the difference when I did it there. Again, it wasn't the Coolsculpting brand, but they're all pretty much the same. Again, the cryolipolysis, they just have different terms. So that's another thing. You're paying extra money for Coolsculpting, and there are newer versions of it as well that doesn't take as long as their procedure takes, and a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. Yeah. So yeah. And there are alternatives, more modern alternatives, let's say, like EM Scope. Tried that myself as well. That I saw worked. Um, the lipo, like I touched on that, that's very expensive. You going under the skin, cutting you. So yeah, more risky there, more risky there. And again, if the fat comes back, it could come in some terrible places like your face, your neck, other crazy places. And of course, it doesn't touch up loose skin, which would be another issue, right? And specifically, what that lady had done, she received what? Just a couple sessions, 7 treatments. And she thought she was doing something wrong. She started starving. First, she would start dieting. She started starving, working out more. Then she finally went to the doctor and says she doesn't know what's going wrong. And he was like, "There's nothing you can do about this. There's nothing." It's then he's like, "You have PAH," and she's like, "What the hell is that?" Then he explained it. Paradoxical adipose hyperplasia. Yeah, no amount of exercise or anything can do with that. So, can really mess you up, obviously, and then psychologically, right, messes you up. You did this thing to look better. No, you look worse than before. Then you got to go do lipo, more money. This, yeah. So could be bad. I should put the link as well for anybody who wants to come backstage. Let me bring that up. For any of you guys who want to come backstage, you can come backstage. When you come backstage, I mean, you can cam up, turn on your camera, or if you're camera shy, just turn on your mic and you can chat. So just click the link with the streamer.com and you can enter backstage and I can bring you up on screen. Thanks for the super chat. The super chat always gets the reggae horn. It should be a recommendation of the inclusion of physical activity to boost results. Do you think they tell customers this? You can't have precision lay on the couch all day. Actually, when I called, because before I discovered the place I tried, when I checked into it, no, not really. They didn't. I mean, I don't know if every place does, because actually that's one of the recommendations to make sure the place you go to is very reputable. But then if you don't know, you don't know, right? But I just did a Google search on it and found that out. The place I tried was actually very specific in the sense that they said no carb food after the procedure, and you had to immediately go and work out. That was their thing. You had to, so I would always do it before going to the gym when I tried it. Yeah, the guy was very adamant about that. Once you do this thing, you got to work out instantaneously. Either you went on their little shaking thing there, or you just go straight to the gym. And he recommended like no carb stuff for like an hour. So yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, these things are usually in the fine print, right? So because they're trying to sell you on this product being magical, you use it and everything is wonderful. Yes, they will tell you, but they're not really hyping on it. They're not harping on it, saying you must work out, you must change your diet. And even if they tell you that, most people don't know what the hell they're doing anyway, right? So it's like tell a random person to eat better or go work out. What does that mean, right? They don't know what they're doing, so they're gonna try something, but again, yeah. Yes, it is a reputable place. The guy was pretty blunt with what he thought of the usage of it. I mean, but pretty much any other place I checked, they're pretty much going to take your money no matter what. They're going to take your money no matter what. They're not going to not take your money. Let me put it to you that way. They're not going to not take your money. Good question. Yes, it is performed by a medical professional. One thing I will say is it's usually they have to have somebody on staff. So It's not necessarily like it's a doctor doing it for you, though, right? So there's ways to. Yeah, now I'm thinking about the way you were phrasing your question. It's not like a doctor's doing it, right? I mean, they are trained. They will have some kind of medical person on staff, but they're not necessarily the ones actually, utilizing the machine, right? So it's a machine that puts some pads on you that freeze the area to kill the fat cells. Um, the medical profession is more to make sure everything is set up properly, that they are set up properly, not so much that they'd be the ones actually operating things, right? That's not the case. And to be honest, they wouldn't need to. It's not invasive. It's not really not complicated at all. Not complicated at all. Yeah, some pretty good questions here. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a very complicated thing, right? But it is expensive, and you really should think it through to make sure you're getting the bang for your buck, right? Because it's a couple $1,000s. Could you have better spent that money on a trainer, getting a proper nutrition plan, proper workout plan, really good gym membership, maybe a personal trainer on top of it, going one-on-one with you, right? That would probably give you way more value, right? Way more value. But I mean, most people want something for nothing, right? Instant gratification. I want to lose this fat overnight. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I talked a friend out of doing some kind of cosmetic type surgery stuff because, as I explained to her, based on your lifestyle, a year from now, you're just going to be fat again. You'll blown 5-10 grand, just total waste of money. So, yeah, total waste of money there. Yeah, the root of it is it's kind of like when people do weight loss surgery, right? The surgeons, they usually want you to lose some weight naturally first before they do the weight loss surgery. Yeah? The theory being that you have changed your lifestyle and so on and so forth. Because they know if they just take away that fat, right? Just reach in there and take it away, you're just gonna get fat again, right? So they're not terrible from that perspective. But the Coolsculpting type stuff, these people just they want to sell, right? They want to sell. They want to sell. So long story short, they don't really harp on or hype up the potential. They're not trying to scare you away. That's not their job. That's not their job. Not trying to scare you away. At all. It's not their job. Let's see. Yes, this setup is exactly what I'm talking about. Dermatologist office fat freezing. So if an emergency happens, there's an MD technical insight. Yeah, the MD's not doing it. Yeah, I know of a dentist who has somebody come into their offices to offer this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So theoretically, if emergency happened, yeah, the medical professional is most likely not really there. But again, it's very difficult. I couldn't find any cases of any medical emergencies, non-invasive, right? The most you can have is some tenderness, soreness, or what have you. So there should be no real need to have for any kind of medical emergency. I mean, it could happen, but I found no cases of such a thing happening at all. Not even one case of that happening. So I think this is the more normal setup, let's say. The more normal setup. Let's see here. And I mean, a big part of the safety, it is FDA cleared, right? It's so it went through a lot of trials. So it's again, it's very pretty safe, I would say, pretty safe. But I really think people would get more bang for their buck if they got down close to the weight they needed to be and then use these things as a touch-up device, right? Because even when they work, if you think about it, right, if you have a ton of weight to lose, you're going to lose 10 to 25% in these fat areas after spending like 4 grand. And that's percent in the area, not from all of you. That's in that little one spot. So unless you got tens and tens of thousands of dollars to spend, then yeah, it take you forever to do this, basically. It's not magic. It's not magic, guys. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of like some of these studies you read about all these things that help with fat loss and whatnot. In many cases, they show that the leaner when they do these studies, they'll have like an obese group, a semi-obese, or a lean group. It's almost sad, but the lean group almost gets more bang for the buck from these weight loss products, which is crazy, right? I'm sure it's a variety of reasons. Their metabolism is working better, all their bodily functions are working better, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. And they're not really sure why this PAH thing occurs. It's more common in men, though. They don't know why that is either, but it is more common in men. More common in men. Let's see. Do we have anybody that wants to come backstage? Still waiting for that first brave person. He wants to hear them voice and become internet famous. So, are there any other famous people with cool sculpting horror stories? Not so much famous people, but there are definitely people out there. But again, they're a very tiny minority, right? Very tiny minority. Very tiny minority. Sounds like an okay. Sounds like an additional procedure they do at the Botox party. Yes, those are a thing. I was not aware of that. Okay, interesting. I was not aware that was a thing. Was not aware. But yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything on this topic, unless you guys have some additional questions. Yeah, it's a bored housewife thing. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. Not really my thing. Not really my thing. Again, like I said earlier, this is relatively straightforward, right? This is our least complicated topic that we've done so far today. Any other notable side effects from the procedure? Let me bring this up. Thanks for the super chat, which means, of course, that we will play the air horn. I need to set up this stream that thing so I can have this ready to go. Well, I mean, other than the side effects we've discussed so far, like I said, the minor aches and pain, you could have like some itchiness, some skin tenderness, a little bruising. Some people know diarrhea. I mean, it's not long lasting, right? So, but in the ear, it could be a little swelling, tenderness, bruising, tingling. I didn't experience any of those things. And to be honest, again, that place I went to, guy said that wasn't a common thing there either. I think it's probably in, it wouldn't surprise me if the people that have a lot of these issues are people that are more probably on the heavier side. It wouldn't surprise me with that. That would not surprise me at all. I didn't think to actually try to research that. And actually, they probably don't even have that kind of data anywhere. Anyway, rather. But all the bruising, swelling, all of these things, they're all temporary, right? Temporary skin discoloration. I mean, I had redness in the ear, but yeah, you put on your shirt and yeah, by the time I took off my shirt again, that was gone, right? Numbness, but it's something super cold on your skin. So, I mean, yeah, there's some numbness there, but nothing that you would notice. At least nothing I noticed at any rate. I guess you could get bruising, like I said, a little swelling, but yeah. Couldn't find any cases of any dramatic problems on that, basically. Now, there are a couple people with certain kind of medical conditions that they recommend you don't, but they do go through that. So those people would be, yeah, they wouldn't end up in getting Coolsculpting or any other kind of cryolipolysis, let's say. Yeah, all in all, it's, yeah, most people are not going to feel anything negative. The key thing is, like somebody said earlier, I believe it was Craig, um, you can get more bang for your buck doing something else, as in not Coolsculpting, diet, exercise, right? Make that lifestyle change. So I shouldn't even call it a diet. Eat better, consume less, or less of the bad things, more of the good things. Most people don't eat enough protein, eat too much carbs, eat too much fat. So increase your protein, lower your fat a bit, maybe lower your carbs. It depends. I mean, you could be doing keto with high fat, but that's different. So, yeah, but all the little pain stuff, those things go away. It's not like it's creating nerve damage or anything like that, right? It's all temporary, all temporary, all temporary. There's, I mean, people could take like a Tylenol or something afterwards if they're in that much pain, but that was rare to run into something like that as well, right? That was rare. That was rare. So thanks again for that super chat rather. So unless anybody else has any questions or they want to come up backstage, I'm going to call it a night. So thanks again for joining me here today. It was fun, good questions. I love doing these shows. I get to learn new things or refresh my memory on things. So it's definitely not boring from my perspective. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. And yeah, see you for the next show. I think it's definitely going to be a more controversial show, our next show. Let's see. Hit this notification so you'll get a notification when that does get released. Next show is most likely Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Figure more people can get on versus the 6 p.m. that I've been doing. So I'm switching it to 8 p.m. And already tonight, there are more people on than the last time or any of the previous times at 6 p.m. So it looks like 8 p.m. is a better time slot. So yeah, definitely. So if you haven't hit that like button, smash that like button. If not, laters, mega long no. And again, for those who speak Jamaican, patois, that's goodbye, my people. All right, laters. Cool.